Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today for an overview of how homebuyer data intelligence can truly change the way that you think about every piece of data that you currently have in your database. We're going to be talking today about borrower intelligence. The easiest way to understand that is to think about each and every person within your database basically having their own true, robust profile. Instead of it just being a name, email address, and phone number, what if we totally changed the landscape of how you knew each and every person in there? Then we're going to talk a little bit about what's out there that you can know about people. We're going to talk a little bit about how we approach borrower intelligence and how you can increase how you think about your leads that are currently in your database. So let's go over what borrower intelligence is. If we're going to simplify the whole concept, basically, it's how technology bridges the gap with the customer journey, how we learn about what leads do. Obviously, we live in a time where most everything we do is currently recorded in some fashion. Usually, when I talk to people about, what marketing really does, what data is really out there, people are kind of scared of that. If you've watched any of the Netflix, the social media movies that have kind of freaked everyone out, you have to understand all of that has been going on for 10, 20 years now. It used to be obviously a lot more difficult to track what we do online, but clearly it is not now. And so you have to kind of understand that it's a strange gray area. Psychologically, we don't want to believe that we're being our online habits are being recorded, or that Alexa is listening to us say something. So I just want to make sure that we're talking about how this can actually benefit your business, even though our sort of take on it can feel a little bit strange. We are able to identify really key pieces of information about your borrowers. There are going to be things that are going to be really important pre and post transaction for you to understand about each and every home buyer or each and every lead that you have in your database. And then we automate a lot of what we do in the background as far as making sure that the approach that we take to having that kind of database intelligence doesn't feel weird. Let's give you an example, right? So, Christmas time, you are looking at a sweater on the Banana Republic website. You leave the website, you go over to Facebook, and boom, right there in your newsfeed is your sweater. That has been going on forever. That's just retargeting. Now, think of it this way: when you're having a conversation with your spouse about how you are really interested in recarpeting upstairs, and all of a sudden you start getting carpet advertisements on websites, it's not coincidental. It feels like somebody's listening to you. But the approach that we take with data is to prepare people for the idea that your technology is going to be so great that you're going to be able to always keep an eye on what they're doing in order to provide them with this incredible advice that you have for their financial future because you're their mortgage planner. Now that's a little bit different. And so when you're setting people up for the fact that you're always going to be watching out, it doesn't feel as creepy when when you act upon data information and database intelligence. On the left, you'll see what we constantly try and drill home to everyone. The old school method of closing business and mortgage was the funnel, right? It's the same in most sales. I'm going to have 50 people come into my funnel. 25 of those leads are going to be halfway decent leads. 10 of those people are people I'm actually able to communicate with. Five are actually qualified, three closed. That's kind of the old school way of looking at it. Mortgage originators do not put enough stock by far into how they can provide their own leads to people. And that's really what we want to do. We want to talk about how do we make this possible for everyone. And so when you are asking yourself, how is this going to change what I do? What is the information that I can have on my borrowers? So right now, you have somebody apply for a loan, or well, let's just start there. You have somebody apply for a loan. You see what their credit is, you get them on the phone. Let's say you get them pre-approved and they're just looking for a house. You don't have anything else to go on as far as your customer and what their habits are until that customer reaches back out to you and says, okay, good news. We have found a house. We're going under contract. However, there is a lot of information you can actually glean about what they are doing. You can right now know if a customer is rate shopping you, if your customer had their credit pulled by anyone. uh, you can take a look at your closed borrowers, figure out who you can eliminate PMI for, and reach out to them to see if they are ready to do that. If anyone in your database lists their home, and when a credit score is improved, and when the time has come to refinance. Now, that may not seem possible, or it may seem like, how could we possibly know all of this? And yet, every day we are taking actions on the behalf of loan officers, speaking to all of these different pieces and data elements that we have. So, let's say you have somebody come to you, you get them pre approved, and then you get a message from us saying that the customer is rate shopping you. You now know that this is going on. Even though you are counting and banking on this pre-approval, finding a house, and this is going to be a done deal, you now know that, hey, listen, I'm really going to have conversations with these people. I'm going to have to see, what I'm going to do in order to make sure this is going to happen. When your customer has their credit pulled, I mean, that's just so important in so many ways, right? Because no matter what that person in your database is having their credit pulled for, it's kind of a good thing to know, especially if it's by another mortgage company. So you can tell they're about to refinance with another mortgage company, and you can jump in there and hopefully save that deal. Obviously, eliminating PMI is a huge, huge deal for people. And listing their home. Let's take this one for example. So, if you have, and people are almost always incorrect about the size of their database. They usually underestimate it by a couple thousand. But let's say you have 5,000 people in your database. Well, you can pretty much bank on the fact that 500 of those people are probably going to move in the next year or two. Well, if you know when they're putting their house on the market and you have a system that reaches out automatically to see if you can get them pre-approved for their next home, you got a whole different ball game there. So obviously there's a lot of data elements that we can combine with the customer profile to give you the best information about what habits your customers have. Now, obviously, this is the tip of the iceberg when it comes to data. We all understand this, and hopefully we do. In the next 2 or 3 years, we're going to be able to tell you when people's online behaviors are showing that they're ready to buy a home. That already exists right now. It's just not something that many people are harnessing, because it involves the use of cookies, and you're going to see more data privacy things come up. However, habits and traveling and the traffic and where they're going and what they're doing and what they're looking at, all those things are going to be really important as we're moving forward. A good example of sort of the way that we approach data technology, like I said, is to be very artful with it. But let's give you an example of how this goes. So you have someone who comes to you, they're looking for a home. You go ahead and pull the numbers and find out that their credit score is 520. Well, they're not quite ready to buy that house. So what do you do next? I mean, you basically have three decisions. The first decision is that you can hook them up with like a credit counselor or somebody that you work with to get their credit score where it needs to be. The second thing is you can just say, hey, listen, this isn't going to work out right now. Please keep me in mind for future. And the third thing you could do is nothing. And by nothing, I mean what we do, which is we take all the action on behalf of the loan officers who we support. Therefore, this person gets automatically put into the credit improvement campaign, where we systematically educate them about how they can dispute inaccuracies on their credit report, build positive credit, become a good homeowner and home buyer. And then we track their credit score so that when it hits whatever threshold you want it to be, we let them know, and it's time to repull their credit. You want to talk about a game changer for most people. This is just a very small example of the kinds of things that we can already know about people in your database. And then from there, it's all a matter of how are we going to re engage. There are every day how many applications that fall by the wayside? How many people and did you talk to in 2020 about a refinance that you didn't get back to or that didn't get back to you? And so what we can do is we can take action there as well. We can do targeted advertising and retargeting, like we spoke about with the Banana Republic sweater, all over the internet, and we can make sure to re-engage that customer. Now, this probably seems like it would be this difficult astronomical thing because what I'm talking about are pretty high level concepts for what most people are doing in mortgage right now. However, this is already automated and ongoing for the customers that we have. We love to make sure that we are engaging you as well. And right now, to be fair, most loan officers are living and dying by their inbox. And so we do send you emails letting you know, hey, you have the opportunity to make sure you refinance this person. We've let them know. We're letting you know today's the day to call. And then we also let you know, hey, listen, this is slipping through the cracks. You got to make sure that you're getting in front of these people. Obviously, as an agency, we handle every facet of what mortgage marketing really means. And so, database intelligence, like we're discussing today, is just a small part of the customer data platform, the digital marketing platform, the advertising platform that goes into having an incredibly robust marketing platform that will work on behalf of your business. Nothing that you have to, one of the hard parts for most people is that they love to say how they hate their CRM or they never sign into their CRM, which is very true. The problem is CRMs don't work unless you work. That's true. But when you have like a customer data platform where everything is automated on your behalf, it's basically like having an outstanding loan officer assistant who sits inside your computer. We create sales. We create warm leads. We engage your customers, and we do that through a lot of different platforms. We do that because we know that you should not be doing your own marketing. Not because you're not great at it, because marketing and sales goes hand in hand. And if you're on this call, you're good at sales. But the thing is, you can make a lot more money focusing on what you're great at while you let us focus on what we're good at. And that's really the key to finding the right agency to suit your needs. Database intelligence is a massive conversation that I am trying to wrap up in about 10-15 minutes today. It's not exactly the easiest thing to do, but we certainly can talk about all of the ways that we do this. This is an overview for people to understand what's out there and available to them. I am happy to answer any questions you have at this time. And if you need to jump off the call and get to work today, we totally understand. We appreciate you being here. I will be hanging out for the next few minutes just to answer some questions that you might have. Well, friends, it looks like I've done an outstanding job answering all the questions in the presentation itself. So I will let you run. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to info@intentmarketing.com and follow us across all of our social media platforms. We have Facebook training tomorrow, and I think Facebook advertising this week as well. So we're putting all these resources together so that you have a complete coaching system for your mortgage business for 2021. Those will all be located on our website as well as our YouTube channel. So make sure you're following us where we are, and we will look forward to talking to you next time.